The Pixel 10 was in many ways Google's most confident release yet, and it's a good phone, don't get me wrong, but I think Google severely underestimated how much competition Apple was going to provide with their base model iPhone, and it's created a situation that, as a fan, genuinely concerns me. Before we get started, I need to make something perfectly clear that I'm an Android enthusiast first, a Pixel fan second, and someone who's been deeply invested in the Google ecosystem for over 10 years. At this point in my life, I truly don't think there's anyone I know who loves Android more than me. With that said, and I really hate to say this, I think compared to what Apple is offering this year with the base iPhone 17, Google is starting to slack off a bit. The truth is, Google needs to provide better value if they want to go toe-to-toe with the iPhone. To be clear, I think Google is doing the right thing, and I completely agree with their strategy to want to convert iPhone users for many reasons. Some data out there will suggest that iPhone users tend to have higher than average incomes, spend more money on apps and in-app purchases, aka Google services as well, and are considered to be more loyal to their devices, so targeting that demographic could lead to a ton of revenue growth and market share shifts for Google. But right now, aside from the AI features, there's no overwhelming reason for a dedicated iPhone user to go for the base Pixel 10 over the base iPhone 17. At this time, and again, I hate to say it, Apple is simply providing a better value at a cheaper price. For me, the biggest talking points is with the raw specifications, specifically with storage options. For years, I've been saying on this very channel that 128 gigabytes is not enough anymore. Cameras these days are meant to shoot in higher resolution, apps are getting larger and more complex as time goes on, the operating system itself is getting bigger and bigger, not to mention with most phones offering 5 to 7 years of software updates, 128 gigabytes might not last that long, and it feels incredibly validating to see Apple is finally acknowledging this, as this year they are removing the 128 gigabyte option completely and giving their customers the 256 gig option at the same exact price. To me, this creates a huge value problem for Google. The baseline, lowest tier iPhone 17 starts at 256 gigs. That means if you want a comparable Pixel 10 with the same storage option, you're going to have to upgrade from the 128 gigabyte base model. That means the real price gap between these phones is about $100. But it does not stop at storage, because when you look at the whole package, the hardware differences are pretty big as well. For one, Apple is finally offering a 120Hz display, which was long overdue by the way, but it's a higher quality LTPO panel, so it can dial all the way down to 1 Hz when necessary, which should go a long way in conserving battery life, a feature currently not present in the base Pixel 10. The base iPhone 17 also offers custom ceramic shield front glass, which is a glass ceramic hybrid with embedded nanocrystals, while the base Pixel 10 uses off-the-shelf Gorilla Glass Victus 2. The A19 chip in the iPhone 17 will have solid performance, just like the A18 and the A17 before it. We know it's a tried and true chip that can actually handle high-end gaming and efficiency without the performance issues that we sometimes see with Tensor. The iPhone 17 supports Wi-Fi 7, something that the base Pixel 9 did support, but for some reason is missing on the base Pixel 10, and depending on which benchmarks you look at, the iPhone 16 is consistently showing better battery life than the Pixel 10, and by extension, the iPhone 17 should be a bit better as well. Basically, Apple is offering all this for $100 less than the base Pixel 10 if you're aiming to get the same storage options, and don't get me wrong, Apple has been also playing it too safe for many years just on their own, but I think they spent their money wisely. Even though they've had the same design for years, and even if iOS isn't your favorite operating system, you can't argue the fact that the raw hardware is really good. And listen, let's give credit where it's due, of course. The Pixel 10 is a great phone that will most likely go on sale well below the MSRP price, so realistically you shouldn't have to pay full price for a Pixel 10 anyway. Not to mention, the display is still really good. The build quality is standard at best, but on par with the industry, so no issues there. The cameras, while downgraded from the base Pixel 9 to the base Pixel 10, still perform really well. The Pixel 10 has a fingerprint scanner, which can be more convenient than Face ID in some cases, and obviously, Apple can't even touch Google when it comes to their implementation of AI features with call screening, Magic Queue, conversational photo editing, circle to search, call notes, take a message, Gemini Live with overlay, Pixel screenshots. There's just so much to pick from and so much AI that no one can really compete with the Pixel 10 in that lane right now. But this also brings me to another huge pain point with Google's strategy that stuck out to me, which is the tone on how these products were presented. This year's Pixel launch event was confident, don't get me wrong, and I genuinely give Google true praise for trying something new. They had a lot of celebrity guests. It was more of a live talk show type of format with demos that kind of felt like individual segments. And a lot of the language they used was way more playful and casual, most likely to be more accessible to a wider audience. Personally, I don't think I've ever seen a tech event like this, and I'm truly glad Google tried it, because when companies experiment, it does invite the possibility for a better standard. But as I was watching Apple's keynote, the tone and the vibes just seemed completely different to me. Yes, it was a highly curated, pre-recorded show, but it was a very serious, very grounded approach. They were also very confident, like Google was at their event, but it was a quiet confidence built on substance. Apple has done this for years, but it was incredibly noticeable this time around as they filled their presentation with customer testimonials showing how their products made a real impact on people's lives. They brought on product experts to easily explain the technology behind their new additions, and overall, Apple's presentation was more clear, more focused, and better conveyed where the actual improvements are. Meanwhile, Google, on the other hand, tried something similar in this new live show format, but every product segment was presented with a product expert and a celebrity on stage who, let's be honest, didn't really give off the vibes that they actually used a Pixel device. In my opinion, Jimmy Fallon often looked constantly confused, Alex Cooper just seemed like she was along for the ride, and this detachment between celebrity cameos versus actual product experts made the whole event feel a bit inauthentic. To me, it seemed like Google was going for the spectacle of big names trying to hype up this launch, as opposed to projecting a quieter, calmer, more earned sense of belief in what they built with the Pixel 10 series. And as someone who loves everything that Pixel stands for, all of this does concern me quite a bit. It feels like from the Pixel 9 to the Pixel 10, Google played it a little too safe here. I understand there was a big undertaking with the Tensor G5, but its launch wasn't overwhelmingly impressive like I think a lot of us really wanted it to be. There's inconsistencies with gaming and battery life that are still present. Another point too is Google seems to be overly relying on AI to assist the hardware, which is a fine strategy, but they do need to find a better balance. And I know that I'm not alone in thinking this. The general sentiment I've seen from the Android community online is that people are noticing these same exact things. They see the value proposition from the raw hardware perspective of the new baseline iPhone, and rightfully so are wondering why Google cannot match it. Now listen, I totally do get it. Google is a much smaller hardware company. Their supply chain is nowhere near as fleshed out as Apple's is. Apple is a giant company with 20 plus years of working with manufacturing titans like Foxconn, and they can probably get incredible deals on 256 gigabyte chips, processors, modems, and more that Google simply cannot right now because they don't move the same number of units. I do understand the business realities behind what myself and many others are asking for, and I guess it's just unfortunate, and at the very least, I wanted to highlight it. Long story short, there is nothing more I want than for Google or other Android products in general to completely disrupt Apple's market share. But I truly believe it needs to be earned, especially if they want to pull customers from one of the largest, most stable smartphone manufacturers out there. But my friends, that is just my take on the matter, and I really do want to bring it over to you guys now. What do you think of this whole base Pixel 10 versus base iPhone 17 situation? Do you agree with me that Google needs to step it up, or is everything perfectly fine in your eyes, business as usual? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, as I would really love to hear what the Android community is thinking, especially when it comes to complex conversations like this. Until next time, this has been Jordan Floyd from 9 to 5 Google. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.